You've tamed the voices in your head. You've put your courage to the test, laid all your doubts to rest.
Hi everyone, and welcome from Your Intuition Queen. We are here on the third episode of Intuitive Queens, and today I have the pleasure to have with me Susanna Liller, who is the author of You Are a Heroine. Welcome, Susanna. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Mara. I'm so happy to be with you. This is great. Thank you for having me.
And sorry, I kind of misspelled your name, but it's Liller. Yeah?
Right. Yes, you got it. In that beautiful Italian accent.
All right, Susanna, you have, thank you so much for sending the book. This book is absolutely amazing. It talks about a proper journey that every woman has. We kind of all go through this this journey where we meet our limiting beliefs and we decide to take action and we meet our dragons. But I'm gonna let you explain all of this. I've been very fascinated by your book and I really related to all of it. But before we dive into it, I'd like you to tell us a little bit of your story. What happened to you? How did everything started? I let you go. You go.
Okay. Well, I think it's absolutely perfect that I have found you and you have found me as we're on our two different journeys, because I have been all about working with my intuition and have learned to use it and trust it. And then here we are, I meet you and you are promoting so beautifully that women trust their intuition. So my story really is about learning to listen to it. So I think that the first 35 years of my life, I didn't listen to it. And it was all about listening to everybody else but me. So my parents and what society was telling me to do. And I did okay. I was an English teacher. I had a corporate job. I was in a marriage that was not okay. And I think that's the time when my intuition really began to speak the strongest to me and say, yeah, this is not working. And after 13 years, I finally listened and I left. And I feel like that was the point that I really began to get myself back. I really began to study read all the books about trusting yourself and trusting your intuition and how do you get quiet and hear that voice. And that began my real journey. And
so what was the exact thing that made you want to listen to your intuition? Was there something happened, or everything was so building up that you woke up a morning being like, I think I need to listen?
So that's a very good question. And of course, this is one of my journeys, the journey to leave that marriage. And what really woke me up to it, I was very afraid to leave. So even though I think my intuition was screaming at me, get out, I was so holding on because I was afraid. And I think it was that I finally went and started working with a therapist. And it was a therapist that began to help me see that there was another way than just holding on, and that I could listen. She would say to me, well, what is it you want, Susanna? And I'm so used to listening to what other people wanted and paying attention to them that I hardly even knew what I wanted. But that was the beginning, because you start listening. The more you listen to your intuition, as you know, the stronger that voice gets.
Oh, yeah.
So that just began me sort of having a spiritual awakening. And I made different, what I call leaps in my career. I went out on my own after my 12 years of corporate work and started my own business as a mediator, a organizational development consultant. And every time I was ready for a change in that career, even though I was still working for myself, but I went in different directions. I did a lot working with people in conflict. It was always, and the way I describe how my intuition speaks to me, it's kind of a nudge or a thought, and then it doesn't leave me. It kind of stays with me until I realize, oh, I have to do this. I have to pay attention. It's not going away. And so
now, did you learn now to kind of listen to it a little bit quicker, or do you still let it scream at you first, and then you're like, okay, I gotta do something?
So obviously, you know about intuition, because yes, you can learn to listen to it quicker. And I think that I do. But also there are times that I just, keep ignoring it until it's really yelling at me. And usually those are times when I don't want to do it. I'm afraid, I would
you're
say
afraid. Yeah.
it's fear.
I know. And I think that it's a matter of practice. We all have it. We all have it. It's just like practicing. And I feel that you start to learn to act upon it quicker only when you start to trust yourself that what you got is an intuitive message, however that comes across. Can be a song, can be a thought, can be a feeling. Everybody's different. Can be a dream. But once you trust it, that's it. That's right. I am right. Then it's quicker for you. You start to build up and be like, oh well, I was right the other time. Yeah. So I'm probably right this time. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And then you start to be like, oh, okay, my intuition works in that way. Yeah. I guess that's like, I don't know if that's the same case for you, but I know for me that I always been very intuitive, but for certain situation, I wouldn't necessarily use it. I would be like, yeah, no. And now I know that it's for everything, and that's how it works.
Yeah. And I would say too, and I talk about it in the book, that every now and then I have it come at me differently, and sometimes it sort of drops in. And there's an example in the book when I called my new husband to be, and he's not that new. We've been married, my second husband and I, for almost 30 years. But
wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And so I was walking my dog, and it was 10 o'clock at night. It was cold and dark. I was in Maine, and we had a great time. We had both gone together for our company to Taiwan, and I was just sure he was going to call me and ask me out, and he wasn't calling
I
me.
love that story in your book. I really love the story in your book.
I'm just walking the dog, and it just dropped into my head that I should call him, and which was not something that I had ever, I hadn't thought about that. But at any rate, it was the right thing to do, and it worked. And so every now and then, my intuition really drops in on me.
Yeah. And I think I think it depends on the situation and how we feel about it. Okay. So you talked about leaving your corporate job to start your own business, that then you started with your coworker, and then she left you. You started your fully solo own business. But now I know you are again on a transitional moment,
right?
Because of this beautiful book that I really suggest you go and check it out and read this book, because it's amazing. But we'll get to this. You tell us what's going on.
Thank you, Mara. So yes, you know that I'm in transition again. And I think if you become a student of your intuition, you pay attention, she will keep leading you on the right path. And so I successfully have been working in this as a consultant, helping people with conflict and strategic planning and coaching, executive coaching. And I began to get, this was in 2000, that I should work with women. And that's when I established my women's empowerment business, which I call Ruby Slippers. It's an LLC. And for 12 years, I did that, retreats, workshops. It's really what the book is about. Everything that I did in those workshops, I put in the book. And I was consulting at the same time, 2 businesses. And in 2012, my intuition said, stop, that you're spinning too many plates, that you needed to stop. And I always had thought that I would stop my consulting work and put all my energy into Ruby Slippers and keep my passion working and empowering women. But I listened to my intuition more carefully, and it was about, no, stop Ruby Slippers. And what it turned into was, you need to write a book. And so that was that nudge. I stopped Ruby Slippers. I began to write, and I wrote for 5 years.
Wow.
I published it last October. And those of you that have written a book, you know that you think, oh, all the work's done, you've written it, and then you've published it. But no, that's not the case. Because now it's putting it out there, which is, of course, how I met you, through our coach. And so I still have one foot in that consulting world. And now I have a foot in getting the book out and sharing its message world. And I am in the process of letting my corporate clients know that I'm getting done this year. And I've done it for 25 years, so it's hard for me to let it go. But as you know, our coach, Jake Valentine,
Let's say hi to Jake Valentine.
That metaphor he used, he said, Susanna, it's like you're carrying a chair around. Everywhere you go, you're dragging this chair behind you. I can't let that company go. And he says, and then you break the chair, and then you're carrying a broken chair around. So I really got it. I don't want to carry the chair anymore. As much as I loved it, it was time for me to let that go. So I am writing the letters. But being in transition, it's just a uncomfortable kind of place.
It is. And I think that once you're so used to work, for you is your consultancy business now, but you're not the first one that tells me, after that many years, the second episode same and the first episode same. I think like you get comfortable, even if you're challenging yourself to be better and to get to a higher position or whatever that is. But you get comfortable, that's what you know, and that's how you can make your money and all that. And as much as your intuition in all of yourself wants to do something better, because this is what you really want to do at this point, but there is that kind of double feeling: do I do it? Should I leave it? How do I do it? And I know, and to me, even for me, I left my job in April and I still wanted this badly. And the first 2 months was like, okay, so what now? And how do I do this? And I'm learning every single day. Every single day there is something new, or it's either a technical issue or a problem, like a practical problem, or like insight that I have. But you need to get out there and eventually face your fears. And then you look back, you're like, I thought you were this big. You're actually this big.
Yeah. And, as you pointed out to me when I was talking to you before and commenting with the group that we're in, that my whole book is about leaving your comfort zone and the courage to leave your comfort zone. And that's what heroines do. That's how you grow. And it's, even though I wrote the book about it, it's still hard. It's still uncomfortable, and you need to work with it.
You need to work with it. And I think you've been brave, because you had done your challenge or your Facebook group, and that went amazingly. You overcame some of your fears. And I saw some of your or the comments of the people in the group. And I think, sometimes even just a very tiny exercise like a Facebook challenge, like overcome your fear, and get out of your comfort zone thing, it kind of puts in that mindset that is like, okay, I'm going to do this tiny little thing today and then another tiny little thing tomorrow. But at the same time, that builds up in your confidence. It's like, okay, I did it. And you have the support of you, that you hosted the whole thing and all the other people. So, you know, I think that sometimes when you have someone pushing you, you feel a bit more like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then you're like, no, I'm not going to do it. But now I said I'm going to do it. So I have to do it. And that helps you moving forward.
Yes. Which is why having a coach is so important, so helpful.
Yeah.
To have that somebody who's waiting to, you know, for you to do what you need to do, what you said you were going to do, your commitment.
Yeah.
What I wanted to also say is when we did the challenge, I had people look back and think about the times they left their comfort zone before. Because if you do that, you realize you've put yourself in a place where you've been in transition before. And there could have been hard things about it, but you survived it, you did it, and it's what makes you who you are in this moment today. But women, I find, forget that because we're always looking at, what do I have to do next? I have to do Facebook Lives, you know, so it's, I don't know.
And I think life puts us in situations where you have to go out of your comfort zone in a really big way, but then that's done. Like, I don't know, I don't have children, but I think about just having a child. How out of your comfort zone can you be? And still, you know, that kind of becomes, but that's, you know, that's how I am. That's how I'm supposed to be. But that is probably the biggest thing that can happen to you. And if you don't have children like me, you have done for sure a lot of different things that have put you massively out of your comfort zone. But there are so much in the past that we are so used to it that we forget.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's power in remembering, and that's why I love it that we get together and share our stories of when we did that, because it helps us all remember we've been really brave in the past.
Yes, absolutely. And I like the 3 stories that you have in your book because they are very, very different. But I feel that you can find something to relate to. Would you like to start telling us, first of all, I have a question for you. What is the probably I can understand, I can figure out your answer, but what is that, in which phase are you now, if you think about it?
You mean in the heroine's journey?
Yes.
So I've heard my call. So my call.
Okay, now wait. Let's do one thing. Would you like to just tell us which are the phases, so then it's easier, and explain a little bit what they are about? So then,
Okay, and I didn't make this up. This is the myth of the hero has been in our storytelling since 2000 BC. So people have chosen to put this myth of how a hero, and it's always been called the hero's journey. Again, I had to tweak it to make sure that women could relate to it. And so that's why my book is You Are a Heroine, a retelling of the hero's journey. But at any rate, storytellers have told this story, and it was Joseph Campbell, the author, the teacher, who wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces that brought this kind of to the fore in the 1980s. And so he identified certain steps that the hero or heroine goes through to become their fulfilled biggest self. And so the first step is you get a call. So to me, Mara, that's your intuition speaking to you, but I called it the call. And some people think it's God speaking to you, or some people think it's your subconscious speaking to you. But if you respond, and it's always asking you to make some sort of a change. And if you listen to that call, then it's asking you to take a step and take an act. And we call that crossing the first threshold. you enter on a journey into the unknown, which could be a new job, a new relationship, leaving your home, moving. It could be a new way of thinking about something, but you are into the unknown. You've left your comfort zone, which was where you were when you got the call. So then you're on the journey. And the journey has people that help you, mentors, and it has people that are questioning you and worried about you and saying, you can't do this, and who do you think you are, and you don't have enough credentials. And we call those the threshold guardians. You could also call it the critic in your head, and that could be inside your head, but also people around you. And things happen, some good, some bad, but everything on the journey is sort of there to rebirth you into your next iteration of a more powerful self. And the thing that really does that is sometimes, not on every journey, but a dragon, what we call a dragon, will surface. And that's some big limiting belief, you talked about that, or some belief you had from childhood. And mine I talk about in the book was, I really got from my parents, bless their hearts, was you can't do it alone. You need somebody with you. You can't do anything alone, which of course I've gotten through that dragon.
Yeah.
But the dragons are really deep-seated fears. Get through those and you are more confident, you are more empowered, because the journey has helped you get to that more empowered place. You go through the return threshold, which is going back to your village and or where you hang out, your community, and you share what you've learned. So my book is in a way sharing what I learned on the journey of those 12 years of working with women and learning about the hero's journey. So now those are the milestones, and now you're asking me, where am I? I'm on the journey. So the book, I wrote the book, and then people can write books and then just go back to living their life, right? That would have been my comfort zone. Just, I live in Maine, I have a great life, and I could just stay comfortable. But I realized I had to get out into the world and get my message with the book out there. So I crossed the threshold. All the threshold guardians said, no one will like the book. You will never get anybody to talk to you about, it was crazy. But now I'm on the road and I am meeting amazing people. And so I have to tell you this, because this was one of Joseph Campbell's most famous things he would say. And I so believe it's true, which is why I am talking to you today. And I probably already said it to you, but he said, if you follow your bliss, which is your passion, what you most need to do, you will find yourself in a road where there are people with the same kind of bliss, and they will open doors for you that you never even knew were there. And to me, that's why you and I are talking. I found you on my road.
Yeah, and I so agree with this. And because that happened to me as well. The moment I took the decision to become a life coach, and in the journey of understanding what kind of coach I wanted to become, and when I then started to decide that I wanted to empower women to use their intuition for their purpose, I started to meet all those people, but also because the more you are on your journey, the more you become confident and you raise your vibration. So your energy changes. You change as a person, which means that, at least that was my case, but I'm talking to so many people that have gone through the same process. You lose a lot of people because at some point you just don't connect to them anymore. And they are the ones telling you, what are you doing this for?
Yeah.
And or the ones that are like, okay, don't you have enough? What do you want? Are you not too old? Are you not, so you kind of lose people, but at the same time you meet people, the one where they are your same level, understand what you're going through, understand what you're doing, and support you.
Right.
And that's why we're met.
I think it is an energetic thing, and I think you do need to realize that as you answer the call and you step out of your comfort zone and you go on whatever the adventure is, you're going to be leaving things behind that you used to be comfortable with, including people. But you know, what's more important, staying comfortable, making people happy, or responding to that inner call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And also I feel once you leave the people, then you also have to leave your fears and your limiting beliefs, and the way you used to behave is no longer matching to who you are. So there is a big transformation there, but once you feel that's what you're supposed to do, it kind of becomes a little bit easier. You learn how to manage yourself.
right. And I always tell people that just get, you know, fear is going to be your constant companion. It's, if you are the type of person that's going to keep going into the new, into the unknown, because you're answering your call, it's going to be uncomfortable, and fear will be there by your side, but that's okay. You can manage that. And, you know, the word you just used, the transformation, I think the whole thing is about our transformation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yes, okay, so I highlighted and so just to say one thing, I really like the fact that you have a map of the journey. I think this is brilliant. And you have exercises that I've done where actually, you know, I have to tell you, because I've been studying self-development for the last 10 years of my life. When I moved to London, I started this journey that I had no idea. I always loved reading books, but I wrote one that was a secret because my friend told me I should read that book, and that was over. And that changed completely my life. And I read a lot of self-help books, and I feel this is really simple. But at the same time, the exercises are so profound, and so they resonate a lot. And once you do the exercises, even for me, that I constantly do what I do, and I'm a coach, so I coach myself, and I have a coach, and I have all of you guys. Right. But at the same time, there's always something that we want to leave behind, or we don't want to hear, we don't want to deal with. And doing the exercises, they're really simple, but even the way you put it with the post-it and the mind mapping, and I feel it's amazing because it really helps you to understand where you are and what you need to do next and how you can manage yourself. I found your exercises absolutely amazing. And the fact that you have resources on your website is also great. So it's another reason to go and get the book. But honestly, I really love the book because it goes it flows. And the three women that you have, that I don't want to say their stories because I want people to read them, but you relate to them in some sort of way, even if you're not like them and the story is not exactly that, or even just your story. So I feel this is really, it comes across as something that you had to do.
Well, I think, you know, you talk about it being simple. I wanted it to be simple and accessible for women to quickly be able to see their own lives themselves in this heroine's journey framework, because they are on a powerful, empowering journey. And I think we get so caught up in daily life, we don't realize, we forget. And so Pamela, Maureen, and Lisa, the three women, they were very kind to share their stories. But you and everybody listening would have just as powerful stories if they shared them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
and for all of you watching, if you feel like telling us your story, you can either go get straight in touch with Susanna. You will see all the details here and also in the notes, or you can get in touch with me and share your story, because maybe you're in a moment where you're kind of like, oh my God, I can't do anything. Don't stop there. Don't freeze because you're afraid. Talk to someone that can help you move forward, because it's only a matter of trusting yourself. And that's that. And there you have people here. I am interviewing people for you, and you can get in touch with any of them or with me, because we can really help you moving forward.
It would be fun, Mara, if they would write into you and tell you where they think they are on the journey. If they're
Yes.
hearing a call, or
Yes.
they've decided to leave their comfort zone and leap, or if they're listening to all those threshold guardians or meeting a dragon. It would be fun to hear what they think.
Yes, exactly. So if you feel like, if you like the steps are very easy. The milestones are very easy, and we all are at some point in one of them. So let us know. Get in touch with me. It's hello@theintuitionqueen.com. Let me know where you are, and I'll share it with Suzanne, and we'll do a live on our pages so we can talk to you, and we can maybe give you some tips, and see how that goes and how we can help you. So send it to us, let us know, and I really suggest you to go and get the book. Where can we find the book, Susanna?
You can go to my website, which I know you're going to have that information, but it's susannaliller.com, and all the information is there. It's also available through my publisher, which is Emerald Lake Books, and it's on Amazon as well. So I hope people check it out. And it's very helpful, Mara, for you to feature it in this way, and I'm grateful to you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I as I said, I want people to get from this podcast some inspiration, and I need to interview inspiring people to do that. You are one.
That's just what you're doing.
Okay, so well, is there any one thing that I want to ask you before we go? Based on all this, first of all, if there is anything else that you would like to say about your journey that you feel might be useful to know?
I think it's about using your intuition. I think the most important thing we can do is trust that inner voice. And the world is shouting its advice to us all the time, and our friends, everybody. The voice you can trust the most is your inner voice. So finding a way to connect with that, which is exactly what you teach, Mara. So that's the thing that I would stress.
Yes. I have a free guide on my website if you want to check it out. And there are 7 steps to use your intuition, to connect more to your intuition. But before we go, I'd like to know from you, like, if you can give an advice to the people watching and listening on what they can do to listen to their intuition and trust it.
That's such a good, because that's what people ask me, is how can I get so I'm more connected? And I think there's many ways. I think, however you can sort of get quiet and still those voices. So that could be running or meditating or gardening, anything that puts you more in the present moment. I think so what I do is, and it took me forever to get here, but I meditate regularly every day. And I cannot even tell you how that has increased my ability to hear. But also journaling, that's another way. I'm wondering what you tell people, Mara.
There are a lot of things that I tell people, but to me, the most important are meditation and nature.
Yes.
To me, staying in nature, walking around nature,
Right.
or I feel that a lot of people are, and sometimes myself, because when I have so many things like now that I am working so much, I have so much that I need to do this and I need to do that, and I know I am all up here, and I feel my head burning at some point. I'm like, okay, I need to go out. And what I do, I literally go to the park and just lay on the grass, and I stay there and breathe in and breathe out. and just stay there. Because what happens is Mother Nature will take your energy and transform your energy, and you will feel more relaxed. And when I do that, and I try not to think about anything, which take me a few minutes, especially when I'm like thinking, but that at some point I start to have some messages, and not necessarily when I am doing it.
Yes.
But maybe when I'm walking back, when I'm having dinner, whatever else, like in the course of the day or two. So,
I agree with you. And I just worked with a fellow and suggested he do journaling. And the magic words, because he started journaling and then he said, and so then a couple hours later, out of the blue, I had this idea. And that's what happens in those words, out of the blue. You think, they're dropping in, but you have connected. So you've opened up that channel that sends you messages all day long.
Yes.
So
one thing that I want to add, if you're not used to your intuition talking to you, don't get stressed out if you don't think you're receiving messages. Just do what you need to do, and as Susanne said, do some gardening, do meditation, go take a walk in the park, have a bath, whatever it works for you, and then let it be. At some point it will come across, and it can be someone that tells you to read a book, can be a book that you open a page and you have that sentence that you need, can be a song, can be someone talking on the street and saying exactly what you need to hear. It could be anything, your friend calling you and saying, hey, I just thought about this. It could come in any kind of way. So don't stress out too much about how it should come and when it's going to come. Just get in the moment, as Susanne says, and then allow whatever message to come whenever it's the right time for you to hear it.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
So another way that I've used is when animals appear in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And there are books you can look on the internet. So, for example, my daughter kept seeing a great blue heron and just flying over her car at a lake. She looked up, what does the meaning, what's the
spiritual message of the
great blue heron, which is about being sturdy and standing up for yourself. And I don't know if that's exactly right, but I use that all the time. Those are messages too, to pay attention.
That, and we can add, we can continue this conversation forever, but also numbers. Whenever you see certain numbers, 1111, 77, if you keep on seeing the same numbers, there is a message from you. Go check it out online, because they all say specific things, and it might just be, things that you need to hear, or you might be doubting if you're on the right track, and maybe you are. So maybe you just need to be. The other day I kept on seeing, I don't know the name of that bird, but what's it called? The black one with the yellow beak. Anyway, but that's about the intuition. I'm like, what? I mean, I have a garden, so of course I see a lot of animals all the time. But as you said, pay attention, because the messages are all around. Nature gives us messages all the time, but not only nature.
And it's all connected. We're all connected. So there's different ways it can come in.
Yes. And also your pains can be, physical pain can be a message for you. Then maybe you need to look into certain things.
Right.
Oh, we can stay here forever. Anyway, we need to close this down, but I just really want to thank you for being here. It's been a great pleasure for me to interview you. Again, please check it out. It's an amazing book. It's really simple. It gives you an idea of what's going on in your life, and you can understand a lot more of all your fears and your problems. And if you have people telling you not to do it, then you should be doing it. Have this next to you, so you know how to manage yourself and the people that are trying to stop you. And thank you so much, Susanne.
You're welcome, Mara. Thank you for having me on your amazing show. And I'm just so lucky to know you and count you as my friend. So thank you.
Me too. Me too. You will see all the links in below and in the notes. But if you're not sure, just get in touch with me. In any way, just look for the Intuition Queen. You can find me anywhere, and I will direct you to the right person whenever you have a question. So thank you so much to everyone for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you. Ciao.
Your mind is clearer than before. Your heart is full and wanting more. Your future's at the door.